what piqued my interest was the educational experience, the chance to get students a chance to be read and reread and reread and have feedback, not just from me, but a number of people that came from very different fields from mine. In fact, I think I'm the odd pea in the pod. I have no chemistry background or anything like that. So the educational experience for me and the opportunity to get these students who may not have heard of this other way of thinking about creating itineraries, to get them to think about that. The two things combined was like, I've got to be here. What I do in my own work, in my research work, because then there's the teaching part generally, but what I do in my research part is called, or I call it, cultural sustainability. And it is connected to the circular economy because it does talk about, or the focus is on regeneration and sustaining practices, cultural practices that may be about to disappear and that the community wants to hold on for them. For some reason, whatever reason it is, because it connects them to their ancestors, because it connects them to the land, because it connects them to whatever. And so cultural sustainability is about finding the way for the community to sustain it, to sustain that expression, whether it's basket weaving or whether it's dancing or whatever it could be. And so it is connected to the circular economy. Because it has that regeneration aspect. Something is winding down because the new generations aren't as interested, or because we're running out of what we call tradition bearers. In other words, those people who have the knowledge and who were passed down this. And we have one, or maybe we have heard of one, we no longer have that one, right? So it's being kind of passed, and then the community realizes that they lost a pillar of something that explained something about them. And so then when we do cultural sustainability work, we work on that regeneration. I find that we need to work on the social aspect a little bit more. I still feel that students put it as almost like a by the way. And it's not central enough for my taste, obviously. I feel like they do have it there, and it's something that they have in mind, but for whatever reason, they continue to think that what matters is what we were saying, the product, the object, the formula, and of course that's all very important, but it ultimately impacts someone, or a lot of people, potentially, hopefully, right? Or a river that allows people to drink clean water, right? So ultimately it's the people, and oftentimes I have to push a lot for the students, like, tell me how this cascades. Tell me how that idea trickles down and shapes new possibilities in the community. And that's obviously the part that fascinates me, and we get there, but slowly, I think, still. It's been absolutely a privilege to be able to be part of this team. I mean, the diversity of ways in which we go into it, from the business standpoint, the chemistry, the soil, the anthropological, right, the social, they're all, I don't know how to say, they're all absolutely important. They're all key to this equation. And the unique way in which we approach how we read. It often, when we're in the early stages, I'm at my computer and I'm just laughing in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought of this. But it is very relevant and very important. So hopefully the other judges feel the same way about what I write, I don't know. But I feel like we all add one element and one entry point that makes the circular economy potentially what it's going to become. The value is in the education process for me. I mean, it's the students coming in oftentimes without, it's like, oh, there's this, and we could maybe get money, right? Probably is the hook. Because it would have been for me as an undergraduate student. I'm assuming that's what it is for them. And then slowly it's like they're talking about sustainability or green principles, and they feel like, oh, we've got it. And then, in the second phase, it's like, no, you're missing this, you're missing that, you're missing, can you add this? Can you maybe think about that? And then it's like on the third, it's like, wait a minute, well, that's something else, right? And they grow. They hadn't, I talked to the students yesterday, and most of them hadn't even really experienced or even played or toyed with the notion of the circular economy until they got into here. To me, that's invaluable, because even if they didn't make it to the finals, hopefully they're thinking about it. We've had even teams who have reapplied, right, the following year, and then they have actually been awarded the first or second or third position, right? So it's the education, and it's the fact that they talk about it, and hopefully they're talking about it at dinner table with their families, and so it has this kind of, again, cascading effect. Hopefully it's spreading, as in we can think about new ways of moving products, of consuming, of being a member of a community. I would like to know more about what happens afterwards. In some of cases, we do hear about them, right? Last year's case, for example, or the case of the tourism, which I wasn't here yet. It was the year before I came on board. And in those cases, we hear about that. I would like to know more about, even if they end up dropping that idea, but I would like to know whether in their own professional lives, as the students move forward, if they are holding on to a kernel of something. I'd like to know about that, because if they are, then we are so successful. So it's the changing process that happens over the 9 months. It's the fact that they grow, that they come in for a reason, right? Thinking about something, but then they start evolving and kind of imagining that it is perhaps possible. And then they come up with solutions that they may have not even thought about prior. I think that's invaluable, that's intangible, that is, it's not measurable, but it's important nonetheless. If I had to encourage a student, I would say, you'll grow. And that's it, and there's nothing else to it. You'll grow. And you don't know why or how. There'll be difficulties, and those will make you grow. And there'll be challenges, and those will make you grow. There'll be successes, and those will not make you grow as much as you think they will, but they will make you grow as well. The advice that I would give them, I would tell them, do your research. Research matters. And once you've done your research and you've got your formulas and your project and your development, and then tell me a story. I said it yesterday when I was giving the feedback. The teams that had a story, they opened everybody's heart. They warmed our hearts. And in the end, that's what it is. It is about bringing change. It's about goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps, right? It's about that. And if there is not a good story, if there is not a human being, I want to know about Jane, the tomato grower, and I want to know how we can make a difference in her life. And that's what the advice would be. Do your research, do your homework. Don't forget that. That's the basics, that's the pillar. But then if you don't tell me a story, you're not gonna persuade me.
So with working with the students, a lot of them are really nervous when
Yes.
they get here for the finals. They've gone through crazy travel things just to get here.
Yeah.
And so they see the judges as that, judges. So is there anything that you can say to them to try and reassure them that once they're here as finalists, they're, a lot of what you said, I'm so happy to share with them, because hopefully it'll make them feel a little bit better. But in your kind of secret judges deliberation, are there things that come up that are just, you know, some positive feedback generally that you can give everybody who makes it to this point?
Everybody, I mean, we're utterly impressed with everybody's ideas from phase 2. Really, when we receive them, we're already impressed by them. We may not be impressed by the way they're presented, but we are impressed by the ideas. The ideas are fascinating, all of them. So from phase 2, I mean, that's when I read them for the first time, right? So they're already fascinating, and I think that all the members of the tribunal would agree with me that that's the case. Now, so there's nothing to be nervous about. It's like, there's nothing to be nervous about because you're presenting an idea which obviously you believe in. You've been working on it for 9 months by the time you get here. And then you've got your visa issues and your travel issues and all those, you know, human things that happen to make it here. You've made it here. Celebrate yourself, honor yourself. You know, enjoy it because it's a victory. It doesn't matter whether you make it to the first or, I mean, of course it does matter because you wanted the money, because you wanted to be able to do that, and maybe that was the capital that you needed. But it doesn't matter in the sense that it was so hard. And it was hard last year, and it was hard the year before. And I'm assuming it'll be hard next year. So it's not an easy thing. It's really, really hard. And in the end, sometimes it's that story, it's that ability to look in the eye. In the end, how shall I say it? It's not major. It's not because your proposal was wrong. If your proposal was wrong, as I say, I don't think there's any proposal that are wrong. It's the presentation of it. So do your research, do your work, and then come here and enjoy it because you've won. Tackling a global problem on a local level. I love this question because on phase 2 this year, I actually found myself repeating that 3 times with 3 proposals. I was like, the idea is lovely, it's got a lot of potential. That's what ideas are, they have potential. And then you have to nourish them and make them grow. If we don't focus on the local, we lose the context. If we don't focus on the local, we lose the stakeholders. If we don't focus on the local, we lose the community, we lose the landscape, we lose all those variables that are going to make your proposal shine. And that doesn't mean that once you've established your proposal or your idea at a local level and you're like running and you're implementing change, because that's a good idea and because that it's working, it's going to spill. And it's going to go to the next town and the next town over and potentially to the municipality and then from there to the county and then from there, and then it can grow. But we need to start small because we need to build alliances and we need to build intimacy and trust because in the end that's how human relationships work. And it is really hard to change. We're all resistant to change. I want to be able to go to the coffee shop and get my coffee, right? I don't want to have to think about how that coffee got onto the coffee cup, right? But we must. And so thinking about locally is what makes an idea thrive.